The void of space erupted in a dazzling explosion of lights and sound as the alien fleet emerged from hyperspace, a wall of imposing warships poised to overwhelm their unsuspecting target. On board the USS Resolute, alarms blared in a piercing symphony of red lights and frantic beeps. Captain James Anderson stood at the bridge, his sharp blue eyes scanning the holographic display that projected the incoming alien armada. "Captain, they're moving into attack formation!" Lieutenant Maria Chen's voice cut through the chaos, her fingers a blur over the control panels. Her usually calm demeanor was now tense, reflecting the gravity of the situation. Anderson's jaw tightened as he assessed the scene. The alien ships, sleek and menacing with jagged edges, formed a crescent around the Resolute. The humans had known the alien empire was formidable, but the scale of this assault was unprecedented. The ship's state-of-the-art defense systems, initially considered overkill, now seemed crucial. "Prepare countermeasures," Anderson ordered, his voice steady despite the high stakes. He turned to his tactical officer, Sergeant David O'Neill, whose face was illuminated by the flickering lights of the battle stations. "Launch the drones. Let's see how they like a taste of their own medicine." As O'Neill relayed the orders, the Resolute's defensive drones shot out in precise formations, weaving through the vacuum with a grace that belied their destructive power. They quickly engaged the alien ships, their plasma cannons tearing through the shields of the enemy vessels. On the alien command ship, General Zaro's eyes narrowed as he observed the human ship's unexpected resilience. His gray-skinned, reptilian features contorted into a snarl of disbelief. "How are they managing this?" he demanded, his voice reverberating with authority and frustration. His second-in-command, a smaller alien with glowing red eyes, responded, "General, their technology appears advanced beyond our initial intelligence. Their ship's defense systems are absorbing our firepower better than anticipated." Zaro's irritation was palpable. He slammed a fist against the console, causing a cascade of sparks. "Recalculate the attack strategy. We need to crush them before they become a real threat." Back on the Resolute, Anderson was unyielding. His eyes flicked between the tactical screen and his crew, his mind working at lightning speed to counter the aliens' escalating aggression. "We need to breach their formation. Lieutenant Chen, initiate the phase shift maneuver. We'll use their own momentum against them." The crew sprang into action, the Resolute shifting seamlessly through space, darting through the gaps in the alien formation. The maneuver caused the alien ships to collide with each other, their ranks disarrayed by the unexpected tactic. A series of explosions illuminated the dark expanse as enemy vessels fell, their debris drifting like spectral confetti. Anderson's tactical acumen was evident as the battle continued. Each command was precise, each decision calculated to exploit the aliens' weaknesses. Yet, despite the human ships' effective counterattacks, the relentless tide of alien ships seemed endless. In the midst of the chaos, a sudden jolt shook the Resolute. Anderson's grip tightened on the armrest of his command chair. "Report!" he barked. "Captain, we've sustained damage to the port thrusters. It's a minor breach, but we're losing maneuverability," Chen reported, her face pale but determined. "Understood," Anderson replied. "O'Neill, adjust targeting parameters. Focus on the command ship. If we can disable their leader, we might force a retreat." The crew moved with renewed urgency, the air thick with the scent of ozone and the hum of energy weapons. As the Resolute's remaining drones swarmed around the alien command ship, a burst of concentrated firepower struck its central core. The alien flagship shuddered, its shields flickering and collapsing under the relentless assault. On the alien command ship, Zaro's expression shifted from anger to alarm. "Prepare for emergency withdrawal," he ordered, his voice sharp with panic. The once confident general now faced the reality of a severe tactical defeat. As the alien fleet began to retreat, the bridge of the Resolute was filled with a mixture of relief and exhaustion. Anderson surveyed his crew, their faces reflecting the strain of battle but also the fierce pride of their unexpected victory. "Well done, everyone," Anderson said, his voice carrying a note of weary satisfaction. "We've shown them that underestimating humanity can be a costly mistake." As the alien ships vanished into the void, the USS Resolute emerged victorious but bruised, a testament to human resilience and strategic prowess in the face of overwhelming odds. The silence that followed the alien fleet's retreat was a heavy, oppressive calm. On the bridge of the USS Resolute, Captain James Anderson surveyed the aftermath, his face illuminated by the dim glow of the control panels. The crew worked with quiet efficiency, tending to the damage and recalibrating systems. Lieutenant Maria Chin approached with a data pad, her expression serious. "Captain, we've got a new problem," she said, handing him the device. "Scans indicate another fleet, larger and more advanced than the previous one, is approaching our sector." Anderson's eyes narrowed as he reviewed the information. "Can we identify their origin or intentions?" Chin shook her head. "Not yet. The scans are inconclusive, but their trajectory suggests they're heading directly for us." The bridge's tension was palpable. Sergeant David O'Neill, normally stoic, looked concerned as he monitored the tactical readouts. "Captain, if their technology surpasses what we just faced, we might be in for a serious challenge." Anderson nodded, his mind racing. "Prepare the crew for another possible engagement. I want full readiness in 10 minutes. Let's not give them any advantage." As the crew scrambled to action, Anderson called for a briefing in the war room. The walls of the room were lined with holographic displays, depicting various star systems and tactical maps. The senior officers gathered, their faces reflecting both the exhaustion from the previous battle and the unease about the new threat. "All right, everyone," Anderson began, his voice firm but steady. "We've just received word of an incoming fleet. This one might be more advanced and numerous. Our last encounter was tough, but this will be different. We need to anticipate their moves and adapt quickly." Commander Rachel Hart, the ship's strategist, spoke up. "Captain, if they're deploying a larger fleet, they could be attempting a full-scale invasion. We need to focus on fortifying our defenses and preparing for a prolonged engagement." "And what about counterattacks?" O'Neill asked. "Should we consider a preemptive strike?" Anderson shook his head. "We need to gather more intelligence first. A premature strike could reveal our strategies and leave us vulnerable. I want a recon team ready to gather data on their fleet as soon as they come into range." The officers nodded, their faces set with determination. "Understood, Captain," Hart said. "We'll start preparing the recon drones immediately." The mood on the bridge was intense as the crew worked tirelessly. The sense of urgency was almost tangible, with every member fully aware of the stakes. As the minutes ticked by, the incoming fleet drew closer, their massive silhouettes gradually appearing on the radar. "Captain, we have visual confirmation," Chen reported, her voice taut with anxiety. "The fleet is comprised of multiple large warships and several smaller support vessels. They're heavily armed." Anderson's jaw clenched. "Prepare the ship for combat. Initiate defensive protocols and have the drones ready for deployment. We'll hold our position until we have more information on their exact intentions." Outside the Resolute, the enemy fleet loomed like a dark storm cloud. The alien ships, even larger and more menacing than before, were equipped with glowing energy shields and advanced weaponry. Their sheer size and sophistication made it clear that this was not a routine patrol. As the fleet closed in, the tension on the Resolute escalated. The crew moved with a synchronized precision born of high-stakes preparation. The ship's engines hummed with readiness, and the bridge was a hive of controlled chaos. A sudden alert flashed on the display. "Captain, they're opening a communication channel," Chen said, her voice tinged with surprise. "It's encrypted, but we're getting a transmission." "Put it through," Anderson ordered, his eyes narrowing as he prepared for whatever the alien commander might have to say. The screen flickered to life, revealing an alien figure, taller and more imposing than any they had encountered. His scales shimmered with an eerie light, and his eyes glowed with a cold, calculating intelligence. "This is Commander Zarek of the Zalarian Dominion." The alien's voice was smooth, yet menacing. "Surrender now, and your ship will be spared. Resist, and you will face the full might of our forces." Anderson's gaze remained unflinching. We're not in the business of surrendering. We'll fight to protect our people. The transmission ended abruptly, and the alien fleet began to maneuver into a more aggressive formation. The tension was now at its peak as the crew braced for the confrontation that was about to unfold. Prepare for battle stations, Anderson commanded. This is going to be our toughest fight yet. As the Resolute's weapons systems came online and the crew took their positions, the sense of impending conflict loomed large. The ship's engines roared to life, and the crew readied themselves for the fight of their lives, fully aware that the outcome would shape their destiny in the vast expanse of space. The USS Resolute quaked as energy pulses struck its shields, the ship's hull vibrating under the strain of incoming fire. Captain James Anderson stood resolute at the bridge, his eyes fixed on the main display as the alien fleet continued its relentless assault. The crew, battle-hardened and focused, moved with precision, each member playing a critical role in the defense. Shields at 60%, Lieutenant Maria Chen called out, her fingers flying over the control panel. We need to reinforce them immediately. Do it, Anderson ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. Deploy the countermeasures. We can't afford to lose our shields now. The ship rocked again, and Commander Rachel Hart's voice cut through the din. Captain, the Zolarians have begun launching boarding pods. They're targeting our vulnerable sections. Prepare for intruders, Anderson commanded. Send security teams to those areas. We need to hold the line. The atmosphere on the bridge was taut with urgency. Sergeant David O'Neill barked orders to his team, their faces illuminated by the red warning lights flashing overhead. Get to those pods before they breach. Move, move, move! In the ship's corridors, a team of security officers sprinted towards the targeted sections, their footsteps echoing in the metallic confines. Sergeant Marcus Reed led the charge, his face set in grim determination. Hold your positions and be ready for anything. We're not letting them through. The first boarding pod crashed into the side of the Resolute, its exterior hissing as it made contact. The pod's door slid open, and Zolarian soldiers poured out, their sleek armor reflecting the ship's emergency lights. Reed and his team engaged immediately, blaster fire exchanging with alien weaponry. The corridor became a battleground, the air thick with the acrid smell of burned ozone and the sounds of combat. Back on the bridge, Anderson's gaze was fixed on the tactical display. Status report on the alien fleet's movements? Chen looked up from her console, her face pale but determined. The Zolarians are deploying a new type of weapon, some sort of plasma cannon. It's more powerful than anything we've seen. Anderson's brow furrowed. Can we counter it? We're working on it, Chen replied. But we need time to adapt. They're hitting us hard, and it's pushing our systems to the limit. Then let's buy ourselves that time, Anderson said. Increase our evasive maneuvers and focus on disabling their plasma cannons. I want those weapons neutralized. The Resolute lurched as it executed a sharp turn, evading a barrage of plasma fire. The ship's weapons systems fired back, targeting the alien cannons. The screen flickered with explosions as the Zolarian weapons began to fail, but the relentless assault continued. In the midst of the chaos, Commander Hart's voice rose above the din. Captain, we've got a critical issue. The plasma feedback is causing system failures in our propulsion units. We need to stabilize it, or we risk losing maneuverability. Damn it, Anderson muttered, his mind racing. Can we reroute power from the secondary systems to stabilize propulsion? We're doing it now, Hart confirmed, her fingers dancing across her console. But it's going to take a few minutes. Understood. Keep me posted, Anderson said, turning his attention back to the tactical display. As the battle raged on, the Zolarian fleet began to deploy reinforcements. A new wave of ships emerged from the shadows, their sleek forms adding to the already overwhelming numbers. The Resolute's crew fought valiantly, but the sheer volume of enemy forces threatened to overwhelm them. Captain, we're facing a full-scale invasion, Chen reported, her voice strained. We need additional support, or we won't hold out much longer. Anderson's mind raced, weighing their options. Initiate distress beacon protocol. We need to call for reinforcements immediately. The ship's systems hummed as the distress signal was sent into the void. The message would travel through the vastness of space, seeking aid from any nearby allies. Meanwhile, the battle continued to escalate, the Resolute's crew locked in a desperate struggle against the overwhelming alien forces. As the chapter drew to a close, the tension was palpable. The ship's hull groaned under the relentless assault, and the crew fought with every ounce of their strength. Captain Anderson, his face lined with resolve and fatigue, understood that the next moments would be crucial in determining the fate of their battle and the safety of their ship. The outcome hung in the balance, and as the Zalarians pressed their attack, the USS Resolute prepared for the next critical phase of the conflict. The bridge of the USS Resolute was a hive of activity, the crew members pushing their limits as the alien assault intensified. Captain James Anderson stood at the helm, his expression a mask of determination. The ship's hull groaned under the relentless barrage of plasma fire, each impact sending shudders through the vessel. Shields at 40%. Lieutenant Maria Chen's voice cut through the cacophony of alarms. We're holding, but not for much longer. Captain, reinforcements are still en route, but we need to keep the Zalarians at bay until they arrive, Commander Rachel Hart said, her fingers moving rapidly over the control panel as she worked to stabilize the ship's systems. I know, Anderson replied, his eyes scanning the tactical display. Deploy all remaining countermeasures. We need to buy as much time as we can. The Resolute's countermeasures flared as they were launched, a dazzling display of lights and explosions filling the void. The Zalarian ships faltered momentarily, their fire temporarily disrupted by the defensive barrage. But it was clear that this respite was fleeting. The enemy would regroup and resume their assault. In the corridors of the ship, the atmosphere was tense. Sergeant Marcus Reed and his team continued their fierce defense against the boarding parties. The sound of blaster fire and the clang of metal echoed through the narrow passageways. Reed's face was set in grim determination as he fought alongside his squad. Stay sharp, Reed shouted, his voice echoing through his helmet comms. They're pushing harder now. We can't let them breach the command center. A blast door shuddered as a plasma round hit it, the metal vibrating with each impact. Reed's team held their ground, their blasters firing in synchronized bursts. The air was thick with the acrid scent of burned circuitry, and the sharp tang of sweat from the exertion of battle. Back on the bridge, Anderson's attention was drawn to a new alert on the tactical display. We've got a major breach in the engineering section, Chen announced, her face pale with worry. The plasma feedback is causing critical system failures. If we don't address it, we'll lose power to the main engines. Commander Hart, get a damage control team to engineering immediately, Anderson ordered, his voice firm. We need those systems back online. On it, Hart replied, her eyes flicking to her console. She immediately relayed the orders to the appropriate team, her demeanor calm despite the urgency of the situation. As the engineering team worked frantically to repair the damage, the Resolute's crew fought to maintain control. The Zalarians pressed their attack, their ships converging on the Resolute with renewed aggression. The ship's shields flared as they absorbed the brunt of the assault, but the strain was evident. Captain, Chen said, her voice strained. We've detected a new enemy weapon, something we haven't encountered before. It's targeting our engines directly. Can we neutralize it? Anderson asked, his concern evident. We're trying, but it's a sophisticated system, Chen replied. We might need to initiate evasive maneuvers to avoid the worst of the damage. Do it, Anderson commanded. Give us the best chance to hold out until reinforcements arrive. The Resolute shifted course, executing a series of sharp turns and sudden accelerations. The ship lurched and jolted as it maneuvered through the onslaught, the crew bracing themselves against the forces of acceleration. The Zalarian fleet adjusted its strategy, focusing its fire on the ship's engines in an attempt to cripple it. As the battle reached its peak, a flash of light erupted from the distance, the arrival of the reinforcements. A flotilla of Allied ships emerged from hyperspace, their guns blazing as they joined the fray. The sudden addition of firepower tipped the scales, the Zalarians struggling to fend off the combined assault. Reinforcements are here! Chen exclaimed, relief evident in her voice. We're getting the upper hand. Maintain pressure, Anderson ordered. Let's drive them back and secure the area. The Resolute's crew fought with renewed vigor, their spirits lifted by the arrival of their allies. The Zolarians, overwhelmed by the combined force, began to retreat. The once intense battle gradually subsided as the alien fleet withdrew, leaving the Resolute and its defenders battered but victorious. As the ship's systems began to stabilize, Anderson took a moment to survey the bridge. His crew, though exhausted, wore expressions of determination and relief. The immediate crisis had been averted, but the cost of victory was evident in the damage sustained and the toll on the crew. Good work, everyone, Anderson said, his voice carrying the weight of the battle's toll. We've weathered the storm. Let's get the ship back to full operational status and prepare for any further threats. The crew responded with nods and murmurs of agreement. The USS Resolute had survived its trial by fire, and as the ship drifted through the aftermath, it became clear that the battle had changed them all. The story of their stand would be remembered as a testament to their resilience and bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. I promise you, nothing will happen to your finger.